Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a lovely day. Today I want to bring you a project pan update just so you can see how I'm doing in terms of getting through my makeup. If you've not already seen my other project pan videos, I will link the first one up above and then there is a second one, an update to follow after that. So this is the third. Previously, I have done a massive declutter of my makeup and got it down to just my favourite items, and then since then I've done a project pan to focus on using those items up to encourage myself to use everything up before buying anything new. I do want to get to a point where I only have one of each type of item that I absolutely love and that I don't just have loads and loads of makeup that I could never possibly use up given, you know, an entire lifetime. So that's where I'm at the minute. I'm going to give you a little update as to where I am with my project pan so far. So I'm going to go through everything in the order that I would put it onto my face, excluding skincare because I do my skincare separately before I go on to do my makeup. I'm pretty happy with my skincare routine. I only use products I love for that, so in a way that's already just working for itself as it is. So after I've done my skincare, I would then move on to makeup and I would start with a foundation. So I've called it for the Rimmel Match Perfection foundation. So last time in my update, I said that I was very nearly done with this. You can basically see through the bottle. There is barely anything in there. I was struggling to get anything out. The pump, you can't get anything out through the pump anymore. And I was just using sort of the tubing in it and trying to scrape bits out. I gave it a few more goes and I called it quits with this. So I'm classing this as a product used up. There is basically nothing else but tiny dried on bits around the edge. So this is all gone, which means in terms of foundation, I am just now down to one product that I absolutely love and use all the time, which you have seen before. It is the Glossier Perfecting Skin Tint. I mean, I've been using this so much, like the label's wearing off. I absolutely love this. It is really light coverage, very breathable. Not great if you need a lot of coverage, but if you don't like a cakey look, you would not be able to achieve a cakey look with this. It's so lightweight, it's gorgeous, really, really glowy. So absolutely love this, and I found that even if I do need more coverage, I can use concealers and powders to do that, so I don't need my foundation to be cakey as well. This one now is very nearly out. Like there is I've probably got one more go from this, but this is a product I will be repurchasing. I absolutely love it. I've got no reason to switch out and try a different foundation because this is perfect for me. So this is nearly gone, so I'll be reordering another one of these and I am down to just one type of foundation. So in terms of my goal of just having one of each type of product, foundation is now there, which feels really good. So I'm glad to say that this is my one foundation product. So my next product I would use would be concealer, which I generally use under the eyes and then on any blemishes that I may have. As I mentioned in my last update, I was very, very nearly out of the Glossier Stretch Concealer, and as you can see now, it's empty. So this is all gone. I completely used this up. So I did go ahead and repurchase. So I have got another one. So this one isn't empty. You can see the actual products in there for this one. And I use this for my everyday makeup with the Perfecting Skin Tint. They make a brilliant pairing. Again, really glowy, really looks good, but actually the coverage with this is really quite high. Not as high as, let's say, the other concealer I use, which is the Collection Lasting Perfection, but still really decent coverage with this and makes a really nice natural makeup look. So I'm working my way through that, but I'm in no rush to use it up because as I use this up, this is an item I will be repurchasing. Again, it's not an example of a product where I'm looking for an alternative. I'm ready to try something new. I am really, really happy with the Glossier Stretch Concealer. However, as I've already mentioned, I'm still working my way through my bottle of Collection Lasting Perfection. I use this when I need more coverage. When it's a particularly bad skin day, I do like to reach for this, or even sometimes, I don't know if this is just me, but tidying up around the brows, I sometimes use a bit of concealer to do that, and this is perfect. Again, I'm in no rush to use this up because it's a product I really like. So concealer is going to be a tough one for me because when I say I want one of each type of product, or for concealer, there's kind of two that I love and for very different reasons. So I would probably say I would repurchase this if I ran out of it, just because I use them for different times. But in terms of concealer, I've not got any products that I'm, you know, really trying hard to use up. The products that I have are great for me and I use them when I need to, so I'm in no rush to use up this one either. My next product is powder. In my last update, I finished my Rimmel powder, but I can't remember what it was called, so I said I would be moving on to Glossier Wowder, which I did. I have used up all of this. It is now empty. So I finished Glossier Wowder, and again, it was a product I was ready to repurchase. It is a very lovely powder. I really like the colour tone and the way it sits on the skin. It's really, really nice, and it does again complement the other Glossier products that I was using. I'm just not a fan of this packaging. They make it really difficult to get the last bits of powder out, and I know many people would just throw it out and buy a new one when it got to that stage. I would rather not waste it. So I was open to trying something new. So the powder I've currently been using is the e.l.f. Sheer Tint Finishing Powder, which is lovely. They don't do as many shades though, so when I use this, sometimes I feel like it might be a little bit too golden for me, even their lightest shade. But all in all, it has been a nice powder to use, and it is significantly cheaper than Glossier, and it's cruelty-free and everything else that I'm looking for in a powder. So the only downside is the number of shades. So I'm currently using this, and it is my only powder. So once again, not in a rush to use this up. I would probably repurchase this if I didn't find a better alternative, but likewise, if I fancied it, I would also repurchase Glossier Wowder if I wanted to mix it up a bit. And in all honesty, I'm not set on just these two. I would also be open to looking at different powders to see if there's anything that, you know, ticks all of the boxes and becomes my perfect powder. But currently, working my way through this one, Wowder is now finished, and in the future would be open to trying something new. After that, I move on to bronzer, and you will be probably surprised to know that I'm still working through this very old faded Max Factor one. We are a little bit more used up than last time. I mean, you could already see a lot of the pan last time, but this is, as you can see, it's just really, really worn down, but it's still going. So I will continue to use this until it's all gone. And after this one's finished, I have also got a Too Faced bronzer to use up as well. Again, not really set on either of them. In fact, I wouldn't actually repurchase either of them because neither of them have really stood out as a particularly good product for me. They haven't worked very well for me. So when it comes to it and these two are used up, I will actually be looking for another bronzer and would actually avoid the two I've already got because I'm just not that much of a fan. After that, I go on to blusher. I'm still, again, working my way through this Max Factor blush, which is sort of two shades swirled together. It really works very well for me. This is called Cream Puff Blush in Seductive Pink. This is lovely. I really like this. I don't have too much blusher, and I always put my blusher on before my highlight, so my highlight kind of covers it so it's not too bold. So I do just like a subtle little pink tinge, if you like. And I really like this, but Max Factor isn't a brand I would continue to support because they're not cruelty free. And when I bought this, you're talking like 5-6 years ago. This is way, way old. I wasn't really thinking about those sorts of things, but now I am, and so I would not go back to repurchasing this. I have used other blushes since. I've had Colourpop ones, I've used the Glossier liquid cloud paints, and none of them have worked for me. This one has really worked for me. So again, it's another thing when I use this up that I will be looking to replace with a different brand. This one is now starting to go down. I mean, you got a lot. It was very chunky, the amount you got in the pot, and it is now starting to dent. So we are working our way through this. Next, we'd move on to highlighter, and I have mentioned this product so many times. This is my only highlighter, and it is a product I will definitely be repurchasing. I could go back to this time and time again. It is gorgeous. This is Too Faced Love Light Prismatic Highlighter in the shade Blinded by the Light. it's gorgeous. I don't know if it's because it's a real sort of silvery highlight with sort of just a tiniest pink tinge, but it's not too golden. So if you're really, really fair like I am, very, very pale, then this just, it's so beautiful. It shimmers and catches the light in such a lovely way. We have finally hit pan on this. Not that I was particularly aiming to hit pan on this because I love this. It is my one highlighter, but I did mention in my last video it was lasting forever. I have had this for about 3 years now, and this week we hit pan. In fact, it was this hitting pan that prompted me to do an update on my project pan. I thought, yeah, maybe it's time to do an update. So I love this, and this is, if they keep making this, this is going to be my go-to highlighter forever because I just love it. It is perfect. After that, I generally move on to brows. Now, in my last update, I mentioned that I was prioritizing using up my 2 Benefit products. I love Benefit brow products, but until they, you know, sort their game out with the whole cruelty-free thing, I will not be repurchasing from them, which is such a shame because I think many of us know Benefit make amazing brow products. I did read somewhere around the time my last upload went up, but it was not very clear at the time, that the law might have been changing in China surrounding cosmetics and the requirement to test them on animals. So whereas many cosmetics companies don't test on animals themselves, the countries that they supply them to then do their own testing. And if the cosmetics company insist on selling in that country, which was the case of China, then you can't say they're fully cruelty-free because they allow someone else to test their products on animals. I read something that was suggesting that that law might have been changing, but just today I did go on there's a few websites I look at to sort of check the cruelty-free status of products, because not only do products go from being non-cruelty-free to cruelty-free, it can sometimes go the other way, particularly in instances where a company is bought out by a larger company and, you know, their practices don't align. Sometimes it means a brand actually takes a step backwards in terms of their practices. So with Benefit, I was really, really hoping that they would become cruelty-free. At this stage, I can't find anything to confirm that they have become cruelty-free, so I don't know at the moment what's going on there, but I really do hope one day Benefit becomes cruelty-free. I have been making a conscious effort to try and use up browsings and 3D brow tones. This is basically empty. I am getting all I can out of this because, in all honesty, I love this product. I am gutted that until Benefit does become completely cruelty-free, I will not be repurchasing it. The principle is more important than the brows. We all need to accept that. But what I have done is used up my 2 Glossier boy brows. For a long time, these were really working for me. I don't know what it is just recently, but I've not been a huge fan. So I prioritized, I used them up, and that is that. Currently, I'm not excited to reorder boy brow from Glossier. It's not to say I won't be in the future. I used to really love this product, but at the minute it's just, I'm not excited by it. So these 2 are now used up. They're completely empty. In fairness, I was really sort of scraping the very last dregs out of them. Like, I can see the bottom of the bottle if I get the light in it right. So I'm kind of glad these are used up, but at least they did get used up, so that's those. As I said, 3D brow tones, I don't honestly know how I'm still getting anything out of this because this is also basically empty, but I will keep going because I honestly do love this product. As I said, I'm gutted that Benefit aren't cruelty-free because I'd love to repurchase this, but I won't until they are, if they ever are. And then there is browsings, which I've been trying to use up. You can sort of see I've got the tiniest little bit of pan on the waxy side, and you know, the powder side is pretty dented as well, but I struggle to reach for this so often because it does really give you a chunky, solid brow, which, you know, sometimes I'm all for, but more recently I feel like it's like too obviously chunky. I mean, lots of people have mentioned in my videos before that my brows have in the past have been particularly dark and particularly blocky, which, you know, sometimes I still do. I feel today is like a slightly blockier sort of day, but I do generally on a day-to-day basis prefer a more natural looking brow, and 3D brow tones, it just really highlights all the little hairs but without making it that sort of blocky effect. And browsing's very blocky. I can't make this look natural. This is like a solid block eyebrow if I do it with this, which, as I said, sometimes I'm for, not very often, which is why it's taken me a while to get through this. But I'm working on it. I'm slowly getting through it as and when I fancy it. Then we move on to eyeshadow. I have been very good in that I have exclusively stuck to my Becca Ocean Jewels eyeshadow palette because I said I would try to stick to one and so I can use it all up before moving on to another one, and I have just been using this one. This is where we're at. So I have, I say completely panned. There is a tiny bit of the base colour left around the edges, and yes, I am still using that. I am getting as much out of it as I possibly can. And one that's come along a long way is this darker brown shade. I'm pretty much using that every day. Still dipping in a little bit to the Ocean Jasper, which I've said before is one of my all-time favourite shades ever. It is gorgeous, and I'm using a little bit of the lighter brown, like the goldy brown, and I sometimes sort of do a little bit of a, I want to say like an eyeliner, but not quite because, you know, it's eyeshadow with this dark shade here. I never use the whitey blue shade or the purple shade, so I think in terms of using up this palette, when I've used up these 5, I would be happy to call it quits and say that I have finished this palette, because I honestly don't think I will ever get through these 2, which was something that got me thinking sort of that could be my attitude going forward to all my palettes, because I think that's what happens when you buy an eyeshadow palette. You're not necessarily going to use up every single shade, and I think that will be the case with this. But as long as I've used up all the shades that I would eventually get around to using anyway, then, you know, I'm happy with that and I can make my peace with it. And then on to mascaras. You will probably be surprised to know that I am still making these tiny sample sizes of the Givenchy mascara last. I don't really know how. It just keeps going. I honestly thought at least one of these would have run out by now, but they've not. I'm still using them. I still use my wand from my Glossier Lash Slick, even though there is no mascara left in that tube whatsoever, but it's really good for thinning out this on the top lashes, and then what's actually put onto the wand from thinning it out I use on my bottom lashes. It's a strange but functional system. So still working my way through these, and when these are finished, I've then got a Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara to use up. I'm sort of 90% in my head thinking I will repurchase Glossier Lash Slick because I love how thin it makes the lashes. It really separates them. It's like spider legs, but in a not disgusting or creepy way. However, that being said, using the Givenchy as I have been, I feel like I'm not as opposed to a slightly thicker, I don't want to say clumpy look because I definitely don't like the clumpy look, but just a thicker overall lash look. I'm not as opposed to it as I was. And I noticed I put in less effort trying to thin these out than I used to. So in my head, I'm thinking Lash Slick will be my way to go after I've used up all my mascaras, but at the same time, I don't think I'd be completely opposed to trying something new. So that's my headspace for mascara, but in the meantime, just still working my way through these. And last but not least is lipsticks and other lip products, and I have been very naughty because I told myself I would save my Glossier Generation lipstick because I really, really love it, and that I would try to prioritise using some of my lesser favourite lipsticks, but you know, ones that I still do generally enjoy. I've slipped a little bit with that over the last couple of months, and I have been reaching for this just because it's so easy. You know, I'm in a rush in the morning, I've got to get to work, I'm doing my makeup, and I just know this works, and I reach for this and I put it on, and I don't have to think about whether this colour's too bold for today, if it's going to work with my outfit. It just works for everything. So I have been reaching for this a lot more, which as a result means I haven't used up a single lip product because I stopped using the ones that I'd very nearly finished and went back to using this. So I do need to refocus myself there with some of those other lip products. And then the last thing I've been using has been a finishing spray. This is the NYX Matte Finish. This is just like a travel size, which I have now used up, and it means I don't actually have a finishing spray anymore. I do like to use a finishing spray, but I've coped for about a month now without one, and I have survived. But I would be open to suggestions of a finishing spray. If you've got one that you think is a particularly good one that's worked well for you, then by all means suggest it down in the comments. Whilst I'm not viewing it as an absolutely essential item to my makeup routine, it is something I do like to have, particularly if I've done more of a heavy look and I really want it to stay put. So I am open to suggestions for setting sprays. If you've got any, please feel free to leave those down below. I would be very interested to hear. So that's it. As you can see, I've used up a few more products, but within the products I've used up, there have actually been some repurchases. For example, I've got through an entire powder since the last video, and I'm on to yet another one. So getting through some things really quickly, getting through other things really slowly, but all in all, I'm making progress and I'm happy. I do feel like my makeup collection is smaller, it's less to look at, and that in general just makes me feel better. If you're doing your own project pan, which I know a few of you are, then please feel free to comment down below. You know I love to hear how you're getting on and have a chat with you, so let me know how you're doing. That is everything for this video. I really hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, take care, bye!